When you are.
Okay, let's get her started. I will call to order the City Council Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. City Council regular meeting. I need approval of the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, our first item is the consent for all of the minutes.
If there are no corrections, I'll make a motion. I move to approve the minutes of the meetings of January 5th, 7th, 12th, 19th, 20th, and 23rd.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we got that done. Now, we don't have anybody that I know of that has signed up for the comment section, unless Jennifer has anybody new.
No.
No? Okay. So we'll move right on to our commendation, which sounds really impressive. Jason?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to call up front here, Officer Cody D. Patel and Citizen Shannon Marie Fish. She can go up if she wants.
I like the way you think, Chid.
Okay, so on January 10th, I'm gonna do a little history here for you guys. I don't know if you remember the last 2 Januaries, but this is not Cody's month. January 2nd of 2019, we had the naked female that had self-inflicted wounds with blood all over her body that broke into a house with mental health issues. And he dealt with that. And then last year on January 11th, 2020, he was the first on scene to the young child that was lost at sea.
Oh.
And so this January was no different for him. He's actually been with us for 3 years and he's received 4 commendations in the 3 years that he's been. But this January, on January 10th, this one's for Shannon Marie Fish in recognition and sincere gratitude for your selfless acts of assistance. On January 10th, 2021, at approximately 5 a.m., Officer Cody Didell responded to the Hallmark Resort as a male patient had fallen in the bathroom and was unresponsive. You, Shannon, were already in the room upon his arrival, attempting to calm the distraught wife while you're on the phone with your supervisor. At one point, Officer Deal requested your assistance with removing the male patient from the tub and onto the floor. Although the bathroom was very small and you are smaller in stature, you were of great assistance in safely removing the patient onto the floor where Officer Deedle was able to administer CPR. Officer Deedle reported that when he asked you for your assistance, you immediately dropped what you were doing and didn't hesitate to assist him. He told me he was impressed with how you jumped right in. Selfless acts like these make first responders' jobs a lot easier and save lives. We're very thankful that you were there to assist without hesitation and that you remained calm, professional, and brave. Please accept our sincere appreciation for a job well done.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you for all your help. Action.
And for Officer Deedle, letter of commendation. On January 10th, 2021, you responded to the Hallmark Resort room 334 for a male fall patient reported as a possible code 99. Upon your arrival, you found a very distraught female and a male in the bathroom hunched over the side of the tub. The female relayed to you, "My husband got up to use the restroom and just fell. He isn't moving." The male was hunched over the bathroom tub in a very awkward position with his face pinned against the side and bottom of the tub. The bathroom was very small. You instantly checked the male's responsiveness and he was not responding to you. He had a weak pulse and you were able to hear him agonal breathing. You requested assistance from a Hallmark employee, Shannon Fish, who was in the room attempting to calm the wife. She assisted you in safely removing the mail from the tub and onto the floor. You were able to pull the mail into the hallway where you had more room to work. He had shallow breathing and a light pulse, so you properly rolled him into the recovery position. When the male's pulse and breathing stopped, you immediately rolled him onto his back and began CPR. After completing at least 15 cycles of CPR in just under 5 minutes, you turned over patient care to the fire department, who had arrived on scene. Watching your body camera footage from the call showed that you administered CPR properly and effectively. The male was later transferred to medics and transported to Providence Seaside Hospital with a pulse and breathing on his own. If it was not for your quick response and immediate first responding care to the victim, he may not be alive today. Your professionalism and dedication to the community and the Cannon Beach Police Department is appreciated and reflects well on all of us in public safety. Your actions were in keeping with the highest traditions of the public safety service. Your actions are commended, and I thank you for a job well done.
Job, Corey.
And I think as I've talked with most of you, CPR is not an easy thing to do, but when you're doing it by yourself, going back and forth from chest compressions to breathing, and that many cycles before your relief comes to get a break, usually you get a relief quite often. And he did an outstanding job, but also with the mask on, doing CPR makes it just as difficult when you're trying to do that as well. So great job, and thank you to both of you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you a lot.
Thanks, Corey.
Excellent work, Shannon. Both of you. Thank you very much.
Cody was happy today's February 1st.
He what?
It's happy today's February 1st.
He got through January.
Yeah, I made January.
Yeah.
For January next month.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Our next item, consideration of resolution 2106 for the purpose of authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the emergency roof repair of the Cannon Beach Elementary School building. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution is asking the council to authorize the city manager to enter an agreement for emergency roof repairs, starting with the design for the two buildings at the Cannon Beach Elementary School. The state law does not require us to go for more than one proposal in the case of an emergency, but our own rules are a little bit more restrictive. And so this authorization allows me to move forward with hiring someone. It's interesting about this situation is that we know the emergency is coming. It's kind of like a hurricane, it's an earthquake. We don't think that we can get the work done in time for next year's rainy season. And so we are trying to shorten each one of the segments. And it's very important for this authorization to be a part of that. So Ashley's on the line and I am here to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions?
I just have a concern about procurement regulations and that the bidding process helps the city get the best price for the work to be done. And I am concerned that we're not following that process.
Okay. Any
I
other?
wonder if Ashley can speak to that at all.
So yes, I can speak to it on this issue. So under state law, this sort of contract for architecture, engineering work, Bruce is correct that he can, under state law, you can direct appoint, city manager can direct appoint if it's under $100,000. Your code is more restrictive than state law. So generally you follow the public contracting laws, except when you deviate. And this is one of the times that you deviate. And so your requirement for this sort of contract is for Bruce to go out and get 3 competing bids and make a decision based on those bids. However, because of what Bruce said, the belief that this constitutes an emergency, You're saying that it's in the city's interest to, move quickly without doing the bidding process. So it's a balancing of risks, as you hear me say a lot. Perhaps if you did the 3 other bids, you would get a lower, you may be able to get a lower bid from one of those. However, you balance that against the need to move quickly because the deterioration of the building. So it's a choice that the council needs to make. Which one is more important, the emergency or getting multiple bids?
Thank you, Ashley.
The one you're planning to go to is somebody that's already inspected the building,
Mhm.
given us a complete report on what needs to be done,
Yes.
as what, not only the roof, but other seismic and other activities.
Yes.
How long did that take for them to get first selected and then prepare the analysis for us?
I don't recall, but in that case, it was months to go through. So I don't recall exactly when we started the process, Mike.
Okay, but it was,
Well, what
to
was,
say it was more than 2 months, as I recall, maybe.
yes, yeah, no, it was definitely more than 2 months.
So,
As far as the time, what would happen is that these folks already have a history with the building. Anybody else, we would have to try to get onto their schedule, have them come in, get semi-familiar with the building to be able to give us a proposal. So that's more time that's lost. And also, the folks that we've already talked to, are aware of the construction of both roofs. They've already told us pretty much what needs to be done in order to complete the work. And we did hear, not had a follow-up conversation with them, but the price that they gave us was $26,000, which I think was lower than what I anticipated. And so I am comfortable with the number, and also the fact that they are aware that they need to accelerate this project.
So $26,000 is the amount that it's going to cost.
Yes.
So that's under the 100,000. So it isn't really an issue.
Well, now from the state, it's not. And Ashley, if you would explain it.
Yeah, so under the state public contracting laws, if your anticipated fee is under $100,000, the city manager can direct appoint. Under your guys's code, again, you went over and above what the state law requires, and a contract that has a bid $50,000 or less, or more, the anticipated fee, Bruce needed to go out and seek 3 bids before he made a final decision. The deviation here allowed in your city code is that if it's an emergency, he can direct appoint.
Ashley, when somebody has an open bid process, wouldn't the people who actually came in first have an advantage and they might be eliminated because of that?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Okay, because these people have come in, the people that Bruce had come in to look at the building, when it came to an open bidding process, would they not be able to make a bid because it would be a conflict because they had more information than the other bidders?
Perhaps in a different kind of contract, but in this kind of contract, the only restrictions on who can apply are in your code. And again, there are not any restrictions like that directly in your code, which is what is applicable to this situation. So the question the comment I wanted to make to Bruce regarding the timeline, it's my understanding if you went out and sought more quotes, the danger is that that would push the timetable, the full timetable in terms of getting the architect's plans for the roof, getting a contractor in. That would push it into the rainy season for next year, potentially push it out even another season. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. In the presentation that I did with the schedule that I showed, I think even accelerating this process, we're at least to August before we would get somebody doing the work. We might be able to beat that, but it's out that far. And if they're busy, if the roofers are busy, that could they could say, well, we'll be able to start in 3 months, which is the rainy season. So right now, I'm just trying to hedge our bets in favor of the city getting this work done in every aspect. And understanding that Robin's point that may end up costing us more by not having a competitive process. That again, that's the balancing that I'm recommending, that we make sure that we get the job done.
Bruce, can you tell us who it is that you're considering giving the job to?
Yeah, it's ZCS Architecture and Engineering, and they're the team that did a presentation to you regarding the building conditions and anticipated costs.
It seems to me we're just losing time. We don't move now. I think it was appropriate to declare it an emergency. Because we're sitting there looking at another winter like this. I think everybody here and everybody online has had an opportunity and seen what's going on in there now. Well, it was raining, there were puddles of water inside both buildings. So,
And if we had to wait another season, we would be spending more money for repair and for a big tarp and for damage and all that stuff. So if we are at all, and I don't believe we are, getting a bid that is excessive, it is well worth it to get the hurry up, you might say. The fact that we would be using the company that's already has a leg up is advantageous to me. So I agree with Mike. So this is a resolution, so we need a motion on that.
I move to,
I'm sorry.
ahead.
to interrupt. I just-
go ahead, Brandon.
The cost of $26,000, I have absolutely no problem with. What I'd like to know is what your plans are, Bruce, when it actually comes time to hire the roofing, which is where the large cost will be incurred.
The way that we would try to expedite that is that we would work with the architect to select probably 3 roofing companies and then actively go out and solicit them, as opposed to posting on every website or whatever throughout the state to bring people in, but to find people that are used to working on the coast, are local if possible, and just say, can you turn this around in 30 days? Where normally the advertising would go for 30 days, then they get 30 days to submit, and then it takes us 30 days to review and all those things. So by having that team on our side already, they know the firms, they can get into the firms, answer any questions that they've got, and then we can shorten the bid period.
But
Great.
we can still seek,
Yeah, we would seek 3 for the work.
all right.
Yeah, and that was my concern. Thank you.
Yeah,
In that case, I would move to adopt resolution 21-06 for the purpose of authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the design for emergency roof repairs to the Cannon Beach Elementary School buildings.
I second the motion.
Okay, any last questions, comments? Jennifer?
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Council President Benefield,
Yes,
Councilor Risley,
Yes.
Councilor Ogilvy,
Yes.
Mayor Stidell.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, thank you, Bruce.
thank you, all of you, thank you.
Next item, consideration of resolution 2107, repealing resolution 1411, setting minimum fees. Jeff?
Mayor, council, I'm bringing before you a consideration of resolution 2107, and it's for the purpose of repealing resolution 1411, which was the last time that minimum fees for land use applications was brought before you. We did bring for you last year building fees and with our update to the e-permitting, Oregon e-permitting system. And I told you back then, we were going to kind of reassess our land use fees and hopefully bring those back to you. I would, like I said, at the work session, like to do that at least once a year, kind of review some of those and bring those before you each year with updates. So this one, I provided you some comparisons with some across the state and especially along the coast, some of our neighbors and comparison of the fees. Really what it boils down to is we've had a lot of amendments, appeals, and other really ones that are very intensive with our time and resources. And we had fallen behind, in my opinion, especially if you look at those comparisons to some of those other areas. But we're really spending a lot of time on some of these, and we're not getting that back in our fees applications. And then I also wanted to bring back, I think, Councilor Risley had asked for the short-term rental comparison fees. And I put that there in the attachment, showing the ones along the coast and then a few others in there that's comparable. And you can see with that, there's a range. We fall pretty much in the middle of the range. Our annual fee seems to be lower than everybody else's annual fee, but the initial licensing and some of the others puts us in line in the middle. It's something that I think that, I would recommend that we allow our short-term task force to kind of weigh in over the next year and look at that. And then when I come back the next year, we look at that in particular with their recommendation on that. But yeah, I think that is something you can look at this and see how we might want to reconsider that. Also, with the amount that we're going to be putting in on auditing and doing this for our short-term rental task force, take that into consideration within these fees.
Yeah,
And so I'd ask that you pass the resolution with 1411 and replace it with the new fee schedule that's attached, and let me know if you have any questions.
Jeff, are the fees proposed the same that we saw at the work session?
Yeah.
Justin,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I just make a point. A lot of times when we're, councils are looking at fees, they're looking at them and they're saying, well, if somebody's building something, we really don't want to make it so that it's not, it's going to cost too much or something. First of all, the fees are a small part of the project, but the work costs what it costs. And so if we collect less than what it cost us to do reviews, all those sorts of things, then that work is being subsidized by all of the other citizens. So I think it's a good policy from a recommendation standpoint to make the fees as accurate as possible so that they're not being supported by people that are not involved in the project.
Thank
I
you.
think that's the question I asked last work session was, are we trying to cover our costs or fall in line with the other cities? I think Jeff said there's a little bit of both on that, but he was maybe putting words in your mouth, Jeff, but I think you said you're attempting to adjust these to reflect the actual cost of
Yes.
providing the service.
Jeff?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed the point. Why is it that we wouldn't want to adjust the short-term rental fees now?
I don't feel that that's up to you guys. You're welcome to do that if you want to make an amendment to do that. I would thought that since we do have a short-term rental task force now going, that they might want to have some recommendation and a chance at that. And my goal is to do this every year, Brandon, from now on, to do a fees analysis and to give you guys some data to support those kind of fees analysis. So I'll bring this back for you at the end of this year. And so if you'd like to do it now, yeah, you're welcome to do that. But I just was, that would be my recommendation.
Okay, thanks. I guess my point was that in is looking at the initial fee, as you aptly pointed out, that it's somewhat higher than others. But if you were to take into account the amount that we could make by raising the annual fee and perhaps lowering the initial fee, that ultimately we would come out ahead.
Right.
Well, I think the Seaside fee, I think you have a wrong initial license fee on the Seaside. I think that's been raised to $400.
I think it
So
might be more.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think $275 is very much at all, frankly, for what they're getting.
Do you think the Seaside annual fee is correct, Nancy?
I don't know about the annual fee, but I think the initial fee is at least $400. Don't you think, Robin?
Yeah. It is, because I do have to say in Seaside, people got pretty upset
Yeah.
at the increase there. But it pales, ours pales in
Yeah,
comparison.
Yeah.
I think we should raise it to about 300.
The initial or the annual?
Well, the initial is what?
275.
75.
275, and the annual is one.
it's only 75. It's only $75. That's
Yeah.
less than a night's lodging.
Oh, most places are going for 300 a night and up.
I know.
So maybe.
This is the one area that we didn't think fell in line with the other communities.
Right.
We're trying to do that, and we probably ought to make that adjustment.
I do feel personally that I like what Jeff is saying, that the task force should really look into this. And I feel like this is a specific discussion that we really need to work on. If you feel like we want to bump something right now, that's fine. But I really want to address it on its own later on.
Well, I agree with that, but I just think that I think the annual fee at $75 it's a bargain. I think it's too much of a bargain for them. And so I'd like to see that raised to at least 100, if not 150. And then I don't mind giving it to the task force to take a look at. But I think there should be a little bit of an increase at least now.
Even at 100, it's still the lowest one out of this comparison group.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than Sisters, yeah.
Well, it'd be equivalent to Sisters.
I do agree. I think that should be raised, and I think we should try to maintain some proportionality between the cities surrounding us. So Seaside and Manzanita would be pretty good examples, and I would work with what they're working with personally.
Gerhardt seems to be the real outlier here.
Yeah, that's Gerhardt.
Yeah. And Zanita might be more similar, like us.
Yeah, I would sure check those fees because I think they're out of date. I think that I'm sure the Seaside fee is out of date.
Nancy, I pulled these from the website, so I don't know, maybe their website's out of date.
The website's probably out of date. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just increased it, what, about 6 months ago, maybe 3 months, maybe it was less than that, 4 months ago. It hasn't been that long ago that they increased them.
My recommendation then would be to specifically give the task force this job. And I'm not necessarily concerned with raising it right at this moment. I just wanted to bring it up for discussion purposes.
Yeah, we don't have to wait a year. You know, we could discuss this with them at their next meeting. So bring it back to you before that.
When is their next meeting?
I think it's scheduled for first week of next month. So it'd be a good thing that we could bring it up then.
Okay. But
And
then
we,
how long would it take for them to do the research?
Well, I can have it researched and then they can, you know, they'll be able to discuss it at that meeting.
Well, they should be advised that the council believes that both the initial license fee and the annual fees are too low currently. And we'd like to be more comparable to similar communities.
And I don't know if it's possible, but if they're meeting the first week and Jeff has given them the information in advance and they reach a decision, we could potentially put it on either the March 9th workshop or just forward it to the April meeting for further discussion.
okay,
You know, part of me is, I don't think that the task force was established to begin to determine rates that the city should charge for its land use fees. They were to be looking at the whole issue of short-term rentals, how they impact the community, are they changing the character? Are regulations sufficient for managing it? A whole myriad of things like that, collecting complaints, making proposals on changing how the program is administered. I think setting fees is the responsibility of the city. You know, we're going to turn over other fees to other committees. I think it's inappropriate to turn the fee selection over to a committee. And I might say in particular one who will be impacted by those fees that would be put in place. I think we're just a whole lot better to set a rate and then collect data as to how that may have impacted. Is it going to change? Or people going to say, oh, I can't rent, I got to pay that much to get a license. And, you know, it's not going to happen. But I think we're abrogating our responsibility to turn it over to a committee to set fees for the city. So anyway, I'm opposed to passing the buck. I think we either need to Jeff do the analysis. He's done analysis here. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that we're way lower than anybody else in this survey. And we ought to be able to pick a number and say that's what we would like to see in our amended fees. So that's my
I'll just comment on that. And to me, the task force is an advisory board. They are not setting the fee. We set the fee. They tell us what the research says and what their opinion might be. That said, I have no problem with setting the fee now. If somebody has a number they want to spit out, that's fine. It's just, I would like to see a little more research.
I would too. And, you know, to the point that Mike is making, we have listened at length to the Public Works Committee chime in on water and sewer rates. So I don't see that this is that much different from that. And as Sam has pointed out, they're an advisory committee and ultimately we make the decision. And I don't believe there's any immediate rush to increase these fees.
One thing it says here, I just Googled Seaside short-term rental. Seaside, and this is in October of 2019. Seaside City Council voted unanimously to raise annual permit fees for vacation rentals Monday night. The fee hike adds $400 per year to all permit costs, which are divided into 3 tiers based on occupancy.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their application right now, Robin, and it looks like to me, they put it by occupancy, and it's $475, but it includes their business license fee within that. And then you have to pay an additional review fee. So it's a few fees. So I'll bring those to you, you know, kind of in the way they do it now. So.
Well, let me come back to the current document that we're discussing tonight. Do we want to put like for these two or the short-term rental numbers, just like pending and leave them kind of blank on this document? Or do we want to leave it as is and then change this again later?
Not sure I understand your question. Are you saying go ahead and pass the other proposed fees and leave these as pending? Is that what you're asking?
That's what I would suggest, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to hold up the other fees for short-term rentals, but I do want to increase the fees on short-term rentals as soon as we can.
exactly.
Would it make
We have
sense?
research.
Would it make sense if the resolution shows the current fees so that they're not changing? And then you can change them when you're ready to take action. I'm not sure what it means if there's a pending
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a resolution.
Yeah, there has to be a.
Yeah, that's what Exhibit A is. It's
Right.
current piece.
So I would just keep the same number that you're looking at, that we've got right now. And knowing that you are going to look at it, I would recommend we put it on the March 9th workshop. Do the research and bring it back to you then.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Keep looking over there, but I forget you guys are here. Because I hear them over there.
He is over there.
Oh,
Okay,
that's right.
then. So then we need a motion on the proposed fee change in total.
You're not suggesting holding off this resolution until we have a chance. Okay.
No, just the resolution would have what we charge now for short-term rentals.
Yep.
There's no change, but you can come back and change it again at a later date.
How much money are we losing?
A month, I don't think we'd be losing.
Not very much.
And I think it would make a difference long-term, but I think that the idea of the research so that you folks have got the best information possible rather than trying to do this quickly, because we really don't have anything for you. As a matter of fact, some of the research, you know, depending on what's on the website, might not have been as accurate based on what you're saying. So we just need a little bit of time to clarify that.
I'd like to see it within the month.
Would you say,
I'd like to see us get it back within the month to make a decision about. I think it's important.
well, we can do that, and we're talking about special meetings later on. We have a meeting on the 9th of, I'm sorry, no, let me go back to February. This is,
We have one Thursday, don't we?
but now what we can do, Robin, is we can bring it to the March 2nd meeting. We could discuss it and then vote on it. But otherwise, we'll have to have a special meeting unless we already have one scheduled in the rest of February. I have no problem, you know me, I have no problem
I
setting,
know you.
waiting till the 2nd might accomplish the same thing.
They don't have any other special meetings
Yet.
established yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fine.
but we will by the end of the meeting.
I know, but I'm so nice about it. I ask you if you want to have these meetings, and so it's semi-self-inflicted.
Yeah,
It always is, yeah.
To offer my opinion again, I see absolutely no reason for this to bubble up as something that constitutes a near emergency.
Yeah,
I just like to see them done soon. I mean, I don't have a real deadline, but if
100,
it's done in March, that's fine. I mean, we only have one pending short-term rental now, according to the report tonight. So, no, that's,
Why don't we go ahead and follow this resolution with the current short-term rental rates in it, with instructions to staff to do the research that we talked about and bring back that information for us to discuss at the March.
Right. Well, unless you want to put it on the second, you can. If you want to workshop it first.
I think if it's just the information's provided to the council, it shouldn't take a lot of discussion. I think we have that at the March 2nd.
Yeah.
Anyway, at that meeting, we could have a very short discussion. It'll be a matter of saying, okay, I think it ought to be in this range.
Sure.
And adopt it at that time.
Yeah. And if perchance we get meetings in February, we can potentially workshop it then.
Sure.
All right. So I would ask that you don't make the direction part of the motion. The direction is understood. But right now, the motion will be all the other fees go. This will be, the short-term rental fees will remain the same. And so that's the motion, but we would bring it back for a workshop if there's any workshops available in February. And if not, we will bring the data to the March 2nd meeting for your vote.
Right.
If we meet and talk about something in late February, like as a workshop, we would still be aiming for the March 2nd meeting for your vote.
So in voting for this resolution, we would be adopting the fees as presented in Exhibit A. All right.
Okay, we still need a motion to adopt the current document that Jeff's proposing.
Let me do it. I move to adopt resolution 21-07 for the purpose of repealing resolution 14-11, setting minimum fees for land use applications.
Second?
Seconded. Any last comments?
Jeff, do we have to amend it to reflect the?
Oh,
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Good, thank you.
Okay, Jennifer?
Council President Benefield,
yes.
Councilor Risley,
Yes.
Councilor Ogilvy,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Mayor Stidell.
Yes, thank you. Motion passes, and we'll talk about the other stuff next month. Or earlier, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, next item needs to be bigger. Withdraw and reconsideration of a portion of the Najami land use decision. Bill, are you here?
I am. Give me a second here to join in, and thank you, Mayor Stidell and council. You saw this briefly at the last city council meeting, just to let you know what was coming your way. As you know, the council made a decision on the Najami application for a home at the Cannon Beach Preservation Planned Unit Development. The Planning Commission denied that appeal on, and then it was appealed to the council. The council made a decision also denying the permit, and the applicant appealed to LUBA. At LUBA, staff recognized there may be an issue with one of the ways the findings discussed habitability in particular. And so we took advantage of a statute that allows a city to essentially call back and reconsider a decision if it's done in a timely manner. And so we did that, and now we're bringing that issue back before you. And Jeff will talk about the substance. I want to talk briefly about the process. We withdrew the decision on January 13th. We have 90 days to make a decision, so that it doesn't have to happen now, but at the same time, might as well get it right and get it out the door. And the way in which to consider this tonight is essentially a continuation of deliberations. The Planning Commission and the City Council both held evidentiary hearing, or both held hearings. The parties were able to talk, and then the City Council talked about its decision and adopted findings, and we're back revising the findings. There's been a request to allow one of the parties to speak, and the council certainly could do that if they chose, but if they were to do that, we would have to probably not make a decision tonight, but notice it to make sure all the other parties were aware of the ability to address the council. And so our recommendation is that you not allow people to speak, but to consider it part of deliberations, but you could choose to do something else. If you have any questions about the process, I'm happy to talk, answer any questions. Otherwise, I turn it over to Jeff to talk about the specific issue.
Thanks, Bill. Jeff?
All right, as Bill said, the habitable space issue came up and there was the 9,000 square foot of maximum habitable space that was given to the 4 lots of the subdivision. When that came through for the Harding Garage came up in the discussions of also at the city council level. And there was some back and forth about the habitable space and that how it was distributed over the various lots. And it was brought up that the loft area in the Harding Garage, lot 1, should be calculated into the maximum habitable square footage. Unfortunately, the city's building official and myself had signed off on that without that loft area. It's being habitable. It's a storage area. It's not accessible by a stair. It's so habitable square footage meets certain things according to Oregon Building Code, and it doesn't do that. And so when you determine that was habitable, what that opens up is a can of worms about, someone being able to occupy that space and live. And so we've asked to have that revised and removed. And so that's what's before you in the strike-through version. And I've also provided a clean version of that.
But Jeff, wouldn't you say that FAR isn't habitable?
Excuse me?
Isn't the FAR not inhabitable?
Right. Exactly.
And so garages are included in the FAR. And so the habitability isn't really part of that.
Right. The habitability is not included in the gross floor area, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. Somebody say something. No questions or concerns? Okay, then. What do you need on this? A motion? I had to go look at something else here.
Yeah, a motion to either accept the revised findings as Jeff has indicated with the strike through, or if the council still believes that the original were correct, you could move to more or less deny reconsideration and issue the same set of findings.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Trying to figure out the motion.
Yeah, this would have been one of those ones that have been quite helpful to have a recommended motion.
There is one under recommendations.
You have it on page, no, well, never mind.
The staff report just has a recommendation to strike the language concerning the loft area as habitable space from the Najimi findings.
Go
On
ahead.
page 3 of the reconsideration has the motion.
In red.
Yeah.
Just move to approve the revised edition of the motion of the findings.
That would work.
Okay, I move that we approve the revised version of the original motion. That doesn't sound, the original
Finding.
finding.
The findings, Nancy.
excuse me, going to ask me something that I don't know. Having considered the evidence in the record and upon a motion by the counselor. Okay, that's not going to work.
Yeah. Councilor McCarthy, maybe I can suggest a motion, which would be a motion to reconsider the findings issued by the city in the Najimi application and to adopt the revised findings as provided in the staff report with the strike through language.
I move what he said. Can I do that?
I second it, Nancy.
You gonna let us get away with that, Ashley?
That's right.
I would have gone with so moved, but I thought it was great.
Actually, we have to ask Jennifer if she got it all.
I think I got it.
Okay, then I need a second.
Seconded.
Seconded.
Okay, any concerns? Then Jennifer, do you want to call the roll?
Counselor Risley,
Yes.
Counselor Ogilvy,
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Council President Benefield,
Yes.
Mayor Stidell.
Yes. Thank you, Bill, for the extra work.
No problem.
And
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, where am I? Last item, I think. Bruce, Cannon Beach Elementary discussion.
Yes, we have had 4 scheduled sessions where we sought input from the public regarding the, I'm calling it the Cannon Beach Elementary Rejuvenation Project. And my thought is, and it may be yours, is that we have enough information to start talking about what the next steps are. And I'd sent you an email that had listed some of the things that I see coming up, but we need to schedule some further discussions on that. Or if you want, we can just hold it as part of workshops. But I think we're trying to go ahead and maintain some momentum on this, so we might need to schedule some special sessions.
Now we're talking again with Doug and Dick on Thursday, correct?
Yes.
No. Next Tuesday, the 9th.
No, I'm sorry, the 9th, Sam.
I would be comfortable with another meeting this month and be our discussion. I think we will be getting more input as we go. That's always welcome. The letters seem to be plopping in and kind of slacked off a little bit, but I think they'll come back the more we talk about it. We have some, Bruce has highlighted some details that we probably need to hammer out. I myself would very much like to make a presentation on what I think is important. And so I'd be more than willing to either the following week or the week after that.
It seemed to me that one of the things we need to know very quickly, since we've authorized Bruce to, under emergency, to go out and get this work started, we need to at least come to the conclusion whether we're going to retain the classrooms or not. We know we're going to keep the gym. And if, in looking at all the suggestions that have come in, it seems to me that there are a number of uses been suggested and recommended for the classrooms themselves. Multi-use classroom, interpretive nature center, history center, cultural center, children's spaces, art, and a number of other activities. So I don't know, maybe I'm asking Bruce, would it be important that we make a decision or at least a recommendation at this point, whether we're going to be doing grouping on one building or 2?
I think it would be helpful I think that there's another question that kind of ties into the classrooms, and that has to do with parking. So we have a little bit of time. We will have the engineers doing designs, but we won't be starting work until like July or August. And so if for some reason we don't go with the classrooms, then we just would go ahead and pull that from the scope. So the decisions can be made a little bit down the road on those if you see them as tied. If you don't feel that the two are tied, then you can make the decision separately on the classrooms.
I would just, let's suppose we start the engineering work right now, or as soon as you get them going, they're going to be looking at both buildings.
Yes.
If we decide later not to use the classrooms, then we've wasted some of the cost of that.
I think that you've invested those funds thinking that you were going to do it, but those funds, yes, those funds are at risk.
Okay.
But if we wait until later to when, all the decisions are made, I don't think we'll be able to meet the next fall, the
Right.
next spring. So there is a risk.
But you feel like you can go ahead and get started with with ZCS without the council making a decision whether we're going to retain the classrooms at this time. If we can discuss that in this next work session, I think it'd be helpful. I just want to see them spending time on that if we're not going to keep it. As I look at it, I think we are going to keep them. At this point, I don't see a high risk, but I think we need to make that decision before they spend much time on it.
Okay. And, to my cartoony little world, I think that somehow parking is tied to that decision. So I think we need to sort through both. Because I don't want to preclude something from being able to happen because we made one decision too quickly. So we have a little bit of time. We can ask them to do the design on the gym first. And I'm sure they'll work with us on that. And again, they're busy enough now. They're not going to start, like we have a scheduled to call with them. They're not going to start the next day. They said at least be a month out or something before they could start.
Bruce, when you talk about working on a design, are you talking about having an architect?
I'm talking about ZCS, who's an architectural and engineering firm, to do the engineering design that we will use to bid the roofs out.
So would we also bid on or open it up for architects?
Yes, later on.
I was always under the impression we would.
Yeah, and that's on that list that I provided you folks, that we need 100 days to hire somebody. So we need to, if we want them on this date, we have to count back 100 days to start our process. But
Okay.
this is anticipated to be just the portion we need to get the roof and any related seismic work in the roof design done. That's what they'll be working on. There will not be a door replaced. There will be no paint put on anywhere. It's just the roofs and the seismic.
There maybe ought to be one door replaced.
Yeah. Yeah, but we just want to stress that we're not throwing any architectural work into the scope.
Okay, well, it sounds like at the next meeting, as soon as possible, we need to address, and obviously you're tying parking to the classrooms, because if the classrooms come down, there's more space to do something. If they don't, then there's less space. So that's your tie-in.
But yeah, and it may be that they don't come into play at all. But I just want to be careful about making a decision that precludes something else.
Great.
And I agree with what Bruce is talking about as far as the timing. I do think we have plenty of time to have a couple good discussion meetings between us before we have to really pull the pin on the classroom decision. I just want to make sure that we make these decisions, both on the keeping the classrooms, parking issue, some of the other issues that Bruce lined out, make them with a full inclusion of all the comments that have been made so far. And I think that that's a big discussion. We have to really do a roundabout of what we want and what is feasible and what is necessary as far as parking and other issues. So I think we have the time to do it. It's going to be a little extra work on us for the next maybe month, 2 months time period. But I think we'll feel better when we get there having a vision ahead of us. So
Mhm.
that's me.
Also, I can work with ZCS so that they can let us know like several weeks in advance that they're ready to start the classroom roofing. And I can let you know so that now we're kind of up against something. But until we give you that, I think that you can think that you're relatively clear to keep talking.
Good idea.
Great. At that, do we want to set a date? Calendar kind of thing? Let me find it. You know, I'm just sitting here in the gallery, so I'm open anytime. Those folks who have tighter schedules need to chime in.
I'm open as well.
And this would be at 6?
Sure.
Okay, so the 10th, the 11th, the 12th. I don't know if you guys like Fridays, but
No, not particularly.
How about the 11th? Let's start with the 11th.
okay.
That
Which is
way
in
we have
February.
time later in the month if we feel like we need to go for another one.
I have something at 5:30 on the 11th. I can't do that.
Okay,
Yeah. 10th?
I can do the 10th.
yeah,
So you guys, that will be 2 days back-to-back meetings. Are you okay with that?
I hate it.
Oh,
yes.
We do it a lot.
Okay, just making sure.
So that's at 6 o'clock on the 10th.
Yes.
okay then. I guess that's a go. Like I said, I would pretty quick. I would very much like to make a presentation of what my vision is. I feel like since a lot of the folks in town have been able to do that, I want to do that too. This would be my vision as a citizen of the town, not so much as the mayor or including the city council. It's for city council information. If that's all right with everybody.
Sure.
We
Yep.
love it. You've been working on it for a long time.
I know.
We'll put you up first, Sam.
Chris, we also
Hey
have
then.
people on the website that have asked to give presentations as well. Guys, too.
Yeah.
So is that something you guys want to do at this meeting or a future meeting?
Jen is talking about, we have 2 people that responded when they put in their submission, which was after our 4 meetings, that said that they would like to do a presentation. Should we cut off all presentations but allow those folks to present on the 10th? Or should we just say you'll have another opportunity later?
I'm for input on this, so I don't really care that, but just do it on the 10th. If they're up to it, they want to do it. That's fine. We'll be talking about it, so why not?
I
Okay,
would
Sam.
rather sooner.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brandon, I'm sorry.
I would prefer to hear input sooner rather than later, since, you know, we've had all of it up to this point already, when we need to get into a deliberation phase.
Okay. If we're going to go ahead and add the 2, Sam, you just slip to the 3rd presenter
Mhm.
from
Fine.
first.
That's fine.
So do we need to keep that request on the online submission form or take it down?
Take it down.
Okay.
And Jen just asked me, and we're going to take down the line that says, would you like to do a presentation? We'll add it back when you think it's appropriate.
Okay. Okay, then that's the end of my list. Oh,
Did the staff need any direction from us on this besides we've already given?
Oh, this was just to set a schedule, Brandon, and then you'll start giving us direction after your meeting on the 10th.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, then. Anything for good of the order or Counselor communications?
Yes, I would like to bring up that there's a petition that's being circulated. It has to do with Dagami and protecting Oregon from natural disasters. The legislature is going to be looking at eliminating possibly that Dagami, and I just wanted to bring it up. Maybe Jeff has some input on that, or do you?
I don't have any, no.
Okay, because they do earthquakes, slides, and tsunamis, and I think they really serve a great need here on the coast. Maybe the whole state doesn't feel quite as, doesn't value it quite as much. But I just wanted to bring it up and hope that if people want to support that, that they should do it pretty quickly, because I think it's going to be within the next week or two.
I want to thank you, Robin, for introducing this. I was also going to mention it. Let me add a little bit. There is a website petition that people can go to add their name to it. I went to it this morning. As I was, it has a ticker on it. So as I was trying to figure out how to spell my own name, it rose 25 names within that time period.
Wow.
So there was some push happening this morning for some reason. I don't know. So that was interesting. It is this issue has been fomented by two representatives from the coast.
No.
And this is a challenge that those of us on the coastal cities need to pay attention to and hopefully rally together. I've talked to a couple of the other mayors on this, and I just sent them emails, so I haven't heard back, but and I'm trying to create one that kind of is a little testy to send to Betsy. So if you know of anybody or if you want to help, I think Dagami has helped Cannon Beach specifically very well. I enjoyed working with them much better than the other agencies that this might be shifted to.
Yeah.
Responsibilities of one agency are being split up and dispensed to other agencies that have totally other responsibilities. So
yeah, CLDC and isn't it Fish and Wildlife?
yeah, some forestry or something like
So
that.
it's just way
It's a small,
outside.
yeah, it's a small part of the state that had a very specific bent. They got into some trouble with some funding issues a couple of years ago. Immediately, Governor and Betsy got all up in arms with the funding issue. And then the other representative down south was the one who was focusing on the fact that Dagami was suggesting and trying to make a rule that would not allow public buildings in the inundation zone, which to me makes total sense, but there was a pushback. And so now they're just pissed at him because of that. There's a little too much detail, I suppose, for all of this, but I'm just saying, I think we should strongly support this. If the council is willing, it would be nice to even create a city document that we could send to the governor's office.
I think it's a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd really like to see that, because I think maybe there should be more oversight in that agency to solve budget and managerial difficulties, but I think that they serve such a important role with geology, tsunami mapping, landscaping, LiDAR mapping. We really can't afford to not have them doing specifically that work.
And Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, go ahead, Nancy.
Sam, can you tell us what website we go to put our name on the petition?
Hang on, I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I have it. I can send it out. It's on change.org. If you do that, and it's just put Save Dagami and it should come up. But I can send that link out as well.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
could, that'd be great.
I actually went to the Wheeler City website and it was
Yeah.
listed right on the front page. I don't know how I wound up there, but that's where I got it.
Wow.
And to all the commission or council, we have a meeting on the 4th. And if you want, we can set a special meeting quickly. If you want a resolution that you want to be sent in a short period of time, or we could make a separate meeting on the 9th that you could adopt something and send it. Telling you the two opportunities you've got coming up if you want to act in unison.
I think it needs to be done fairly quickly because I think it's already in the works. So we need to say something as soon as possible.
Yeah, maybe on the 4th.
Yeah,
Okay, and so we'll put something together. You might not see it till the 4th. We got to put it together, but we'll set it. Is it a voting meeting, Jen?
No, but I can change it to a special meeting.
We'll change it to a special meeting. And then if you all can think of anybody you think should get it, just give us that list and hopefully email addresses so that we can make sure it gets out to everybody you want it to.
So we already have a special meeting that we didn't know about the short rental.
No way, you can't hang this. like I said, you
Very
can't hang- I don't see this one taking as long as our usuals. And I think the minutes will be really short. Okay, so
Great.
we'll shoot for the 4th.
Thank you, Bruce. Yes. And again, thanks, Robin, for reminding me on this. Anything else? We're good to the order?
I have a question for Jason. There was some kind of big boom here a couple days ago. Any idea what it was?
I'm assuming it had to do with the flyovers that they've been doing from Camp Rylea. Only certain people heard them, but I was in Seaside and heard lots of air activity going on. So I'm assuming that's what it was. There was nothing called in to the police department at all.
Really?
Yeah, there was one this morning, actually, and it sounded a lot like a transformer going. So it did not sound like a sonic boom, which training guys are not allowed to do. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Those transformers blow, they make a big loud noise.
And we usually hear about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, then. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jason, again for bringing your officer in.
yes.
That was just amazing.
Yeah.
You might want to give him vacation next January, but
No, then we'd have to deal with it.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, you don't think he's the cause of it?
okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you all.
All right, see you.